This is your one and only FireSpark81 with your daily dose of video goodness, and welcome back to another fantastic episode of Arc Mods Weekly. I have some great mods for you as usual today, so let's get to it. The first mod we are going to take a look at is this little guy right here, the Element Extractor. Now, I showed you one last week that was extremely OP. Once you made it, all you had to do was feed it electronics, which is relatively easy to do, and you could get a ton of element because it was a 1-for-1 ratio on the electronics. This one is a little rougher. It takes the artifacts or your specimen implants. Now, the specimen implants can be turned off in the INI config in order to keep people from just suicide farming, which, I mean, come on, if it's not turned off, of course, that's what you're going to do. You're just going to make a bed and every 5 minutes murder yourself and get tons of elements. So, I mean, most people are probably going to turn that off. I don't know, really. I guess it's a feature for PvP, and in the future, the author wants to make it so that only ascended specimen implants will work. So that would make a little more sense. It would keep you from farming them on death unless you're ascendant. So yeah, I don't know. The artifacts on hand I think is kind of a neat option because they're not super easy to get, but they're not as a pain in the butt as farming a boss. So let's take a look at how you get this thing. So you're gonna go into your engrams, you're gonna type in element or elem, and we highlight over it. You can see you're going to need to learn the tech replicator first, so you're going to have to unlock that before you can even get this thing. And then once you have it, it's going to cost you 50 black pearls, 100 electronics, 100 metal ingots, and 100 polymer. It's not super expensive to craft because it's not super OP, so it balances out. It doesn't need to be super expensive. So once you have this thing and you have it all crafted up, all you got to do is plop it down like you see here, and it doesn't need any power or anything like that. You can just put it down wherever, and then you access its inventory and you throw one of the artifacts in there, and then you watch as it does its fancy little animation, and you wait patiently, and after a few seconds it will convert that artifact into a single element, and that's it. It's a 1-for-1 ratio. I don't know if the creator plans on later adding an INI setting to allow you to change that. Honestly, I think a 1-to-2, maybe a 1-to-5 ratio would be a little bit better than a 1-to-1. I mean, 1-to-1's kind of rough, especially if you're using these to power certain things like your suit. The tech suit can burn through element relatively quickly. So I feel like maybe a 1-to-5, because I don't think that's too overpowered. But for now, it's a 1-to-1 ratio, and it works with all of the artifacts, and it's pretty quick. Like I said, you just drag and drop it in there, and then it does the thing, and you can stack up multiple artifacts in there, and it will go through and process all of them. And that's it. That's all there is to that mod. Pretty little quick and simple little mod that I thought some people who thought maybe last week's was a little too overpowered would maybe enjoy this one a little bit better. So this next mod we're taking a look at is called Speed Saddles. Now, this one I thought would be a great option for those of you out there who don't want to use a mod like Classic Flyers, but still want your flyers to have that extra speed boost, or have an option to give your flyers that extra speed boost, but want to put a cap on how fast that speed boost can actually get up to. And this mod is a perfect option for that. So if we go into our inventory here, we go to our engrams, and we just type in speed, you will see a list of all of the different speed saddles here. And the cool thing about this is it also includes a costume for the griffin and a costume for the wyvern that increase their speed as well. Since they don't have saddles, it's a nice option to be able to use those to get that speed increase on those two. Other than that, it's pretty simple. You craft the saddle. It's going to cost you an extra little thing. They added in the essence, so you will have to craft the essence, and it looks like each saddle takes one, so one essence per saddle, and then you craft that essence, and everything else appears to be pretty much spot on with the original recipe, and you get your speed saddle. So let's take a look at the essence real quick. So we just type in ESS. There's 3 different options for that, and as you can see, they're going to cost you 500 crystal, 500 metal, or 500 obsidian. Now, you can learn one or all of those, and it's up to you, and you just convert whichever one, 500 of whichever one of those resources you want to get that essence to craft your speed saddle. Now the really neat thing about the speed saddles, not only do they increase the speed of your flyers, there's also an I config option that allows you to set what that increase is for each of your saddles, so you can fine tune it specifically to what you want it to be on your server, which in my opinion is absolutely fantastic. So if we take a look here, I have a speed saddle on this Pteranodon, so if I pop it off, you can see his speed is of course the 135. And then we put it on and it pops up to 185. Now this is all default, I haven't changed anything. So you can see here 185 is a pretty decent increase. It is noticeable. Now it's only slightly noticeable, but it is noticeable. So if I pop off of him and I pull this saddle back off, or back to the 135, now I'm sprinting, you can see that it's noticeable. It's not, like I said, it's not a big change, but there is definitely a speed difference there. Now, like I said, it doesn't have to be, the up to the 185. You can customize this in your game INI settings, and don't quote me on that. I don't remember right offhand if it was the game INI. I think it's the game INI settings. Anyway, it's in the mod. He tells you exactly where you need to put it. Anyway, if you don't like that, you can change that. You can make it 200% increase. And we have one here on the RG as well that I wanted to demonstrate. So RG at 100, put it on default 150, and I mean it's a pretty decent increase in your RG speed, and you're not really out anything. And so you have that. And once again, I want to demonstrate one more before we go on to the next mod. We have the Griffin here. So here's Griffin, and here's the skin. If we pop it off, you can see he's at 136.5, and of course it's locked, so we drop that on there. It bumps him up to 186.5, and you get a decent speed Griffin. And honestly, I think the defaults are pretty good. They're just enough to make everything feel faster, and you don't feel quite so sluggish overall. But like I said, you can customize it for your own server to whatever you want it to be, which is a really great feature that I think a lot of these other flying mods are leaving out, or not hitting, not touching base on. They're not adding that kind of little bit of customization ability, especially and then you get the mods like Classic Flyers, which allows you just to go back to the old school, I'm gonna pump so much speed into my flyer that it's crazy. And on top of that, as far as I know, Classic Flyers is a yellow mod, meaning that it modifies core files. It also changes your dino spawns, so it's not going to be compatible with anything else that changes your dino spawns. These saddles here they are green mods, so they're compatible with everything. They don't modify core files at all. All they do is add in these new saddles, and all these new saddles do is apply a buff to your dino. So it's a nice, clean, stackable mod. So this next one is added because it's full of shenanigans and tons of fun, and I wanted to show it off. So it is the Golemancy mod, and it allows you to create these golems that you see here. They're basically just reskinned Gigantopithecus, but they look good. Look at that. He's all wooden. He's got the bamboo and the leaves falling off of him. Same with this guy. Got the little pink leaf thing going on here, and they look great. This middle one's a mud golem. He's like your beginning one. He's your crappy golem. Okay, so let's take a look at how we get all of that. So we're gonna go into our engrams per the usual, and you're gonna type in golem. And that's going to allow you to learn all of this stuff you see here. Now you got to learn the golem core. You got to learn each of the golems you want to craft, but in order to craft them, you need to learn the golem forge. Once you have all of those, you can start beginning to craft your golems. Now the other thing that you can learn is the rune forge, or the rune smith, sorry, that allows you to create these runes, they're basically armor that give stat boosts to your guys. So, and there's a bunch of different resources too that you have to learn for crafting your golems, like for example here, the rune wood. And we'll get into all of those here in a minute. So pretty much anything I'm showing you here, expect that you're going to have to learn it in your engrams. So let's take a look at crafting a golem first. So if we go in here to the golem forge, you can see here are the different golems, and they're each going to take one golem core and then a bunch of different other resources depending on, you know, which one you're making. So the mud golem is going to take mud, you know, the wooden golems are going to take wood. Now the mod author does have plans to add lots of different other golems, glass golems, metal golems, just a bunch of different other varieties that have their own unique features, but for right now we only have the wooden golem options. So let's take a look at crafting one of them up. We're going to craft this one with the big tree on his back. So highlight over it, hit E, it will begin to craft. You can see I've got a bunch of different resources in the inventory here. And then once he's done crafting, you grab him, drag him over to your inventory. And then we're going to go stand right about here. Now he's going to spawn wherever you're looking. So all you have to do is highlight over him, hit E, and there you go. He spawns in front of you. And now you have your golem. And then you can go into his inventory and you can see that this one has head, hands, legs, and feet. So that's 4 different slots you can apply runes to. So if we grab this one, you can see that that is his leg rune slot, and that's gonna increase his weight. So if I pull it off, his weight is 756, and we drop it on, it bumps his weight up drastically. And the higher level the golem, the more armor slots that it has. If we take a look here at our first golem, the mud golem, you can see that he only has a head slot. We got the bamboo one here. The bamboo one has 3 armor slots, and then this one, I'm pretty sure this one's the top tier because he has all the different armor slots. So, and they work pretty much like you would expect. I have one down below. Let's go take a look at him. So here is our Blossom Golem. I don't have any, actually let's go ahead and equip this one. What is this one here? This is the armor, so we could drop the armor in there, give him armor increase, and you can see that increase right here, 0, pop it on, 25, so it's going to make a pretty big difference. And you can also notice that his stats are drastically higher than the Monkey Men. Like they're massive. Like, I mean, his health is crazy. He's got a big chunk of melee damage. You can put it in there. You can see it jumps up relatively big, and then he has the rather high increase in weight as well. So if we pop on his back, you know, just like you would ride a Giganto, and then, you know, run around with him, he can harvest resources, harvest berries decently, and will also harvest wood and thatch for you as well. Better at thatch than at wood. And he has every other ability the Giganto has. They can throw you. So you got that going on, and that's about it. That's about all they do for now for these wooden ones. But like I said, more are going to be added in the future. So if you're not quite settled on this mod yet, might be a mod you want to add to your favorites and keep an eye on for the future when the other golem types get added in. And that is a wrap for this week's episode of Arc Mods Weekly. Hope you enjoyed this episode. Before I go, I want to give a quick shout out to my Firestarter crew. Thanks so much for hitting that notification bell and being the first to comment. Also to my Patreon supporters, you all are fantastic people. Thank you so much for all of your support. You have no idea how much it helps out. If you would like to help support this channel through Patreon, please check out the link in the description below. If you enjoyed this video, please leave a comment down below. Let me know what you thought. If you're shy and you don't like to comment, just hit that thumbs up button and show your support. Until next time, thanks for watching.